This podcast is not sponsored or supported by any business or organization. The views reflected on these podcast episodes are my own. Be aware I am not a medical doctor, travel agent, or any other kind of expert. But I hope you still enjoy. Hey friends, welcome to the Gluten Free Advocate, a Substack and podcast that helps me process my health journey and my determination to pretend that those health conditions don't exist at all. If you're looking for tips, tricks, and learnings for traveling the world with celiac disease and type 1.5 diabetes, you have come to the right place. Now, let's get started. Hi, everyone. I am so excited for you to hear this episode of the Gluten Free Advocate. I am sitting down with someone who I am proud to call my friend Audrey from the Gluten Free Chef. I got to meet Audrey on a Celiac Cruise in Australia, and she is part of the group that changed my perspective, changed my life in so many ways and on so many things, including gluten-free food. So my diagnosis was 16 years ago, and it was just becoming a trend at the time. There wasn't a ton out there. It took a while for me to have a sandwich again because the bread would either just have a big, huge hole in the middle of it or it would completely crumble at the touch. But over the past 16 years, gluten-free food has gotten so much better. But I was reminded that in my culinary experiences, I don't have to settle for good for being gluten-free. I can strive for my food being a delicious, amazing culinary experience. Just because I have a condition that requires me to eat a certain diet, it doesn't mean that I have to settle. And I can't wait for you to hear Audrey's perspective on that in this episode. As we were chatting, another story flashed to my mind that I would like to go into a little further detail in this intro, if you don't mind. So in 2013, I was starting my first semester of college at SUNY Oswego, and I only feel comfortable naming them outright because I'm hoping that they have gotten better since that time, and if they haven't, then they deserve to be called out. It was a rough transition, of course, into college because I had some homesickness, and it was tough going from Long Island, where there was a lot happening in a congested area, to the middle of nowhere, upstate New York. And yes, I consider Oswego upstate New York. Upstaters. But I ultimately transferred after one semester because of the food. When I arrived at Oswego in August, I was 95 pounds and left in December 80 pounds. Every day I would go to get breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the cafeteria and have to wait hours for a meal that took essentially 5 minutes to heat up in the microwave. I would put in my order the day before, I would meet with the head of whoever was in charge of food and beverages at the school, and nothing changed the entire semester. At the end of said semester, I wrote a very long, essentially, essay. No grudges to anyone that is a vegetarian, but I made the point to the staff that this was a choice to be a vegetarian, and there were always vegetarian options provided every single day for those on that diet. That is wonderful, and I'm so happy for those that eat that way. But as someone that cannot eat even a crumb of gluten, and it's not by my choice, I still also deserve to be able to eat my meals in a timely manner and eat actual meals. Because no girl should be going to college and having to deal with her leggings falling off of her because she has not been able to get enough nutrients into her body. It's so infuriating to me when I see people make comments on social media about anyone with food allergies that they should stay home because they're such a burden to those in the service industry. Well, PSA, we very much already do feel like a burden to not only those in the service industry, but to everyone in our lives all of the time. And most people with celiac disease would not choose this. They do not want to have to be eating gluten-free, and they certainly don't want to have to be so strict about it, worrying about cross-contamination and the like. But I can't imagine telling someone in a wheelchair, we can't build ramps for you to be able to get into buildings or make sure that you have bathrooms that are accessible for you in public places, because everyone deserves a good quality of life no matter what your hurdle is. I wish I could go to the pharmacy and get a pill and make everything better for myself. But right now, I can't. Right now, the grocery stores and restaurants is my pharmacy. And the chefs are the pharmacists prescribing and putting together my medications that's going to make me feel a little bit better. This is why it was so exciting to get to talk with Audrey. someone that does not have celiac disease herself, but wants to make those in the community and any other dietary restriction and food allergy our quality of life as great as possible. And I can't wait for you to hear her story. I could have spoken to her for hours, so here's to hoping that she's going to be coming back on the podcast over and over again. But I really hope that you enjoy our conversation for now. Enjoy. Okay, it is recording now. So, hello.
Oh, long time
It
no see.
feels like, I know, I feel like it's been 2 months and 2 seconds all at the same time.
Absolutely. So good.
But I'm so excited that you're here because a lot has happened in the last couple months with Gluten Free Chef. So I'm very excited to talk to you all about it. But first of
Absolutely.
all, I feel like we should introduce you to the folks. So do you
Okay.
mind telling everybody else who you are? Because I know, but
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Audrey Cool, and I am the Gluten Free Chef. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia, and I have a cafe which I'm about to close, but I also have a ready-made meal business that services all of the city of Melbourne, and some regional spots as well. I've been doing this for nearly 6 years, and I love to cater to the celiac community and those that are dealing with different intolerances and allergies. So I specialize specifically in allergies.
and that is because you don't have celiac. So I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah.
Of your generous spirit that you have and that you've chosen this path. But I've heard that we should start at the very beginning because it's a very good place to start. And being that we became friends, I haven't asked you these questions. So I'm really excited to actually learn about you. And how did you become a chef? Where did this all start?
So my heritage is Latin American, so I have always loved food. It's part of my culture. I grew up in the kitchen with my grandmother cooking meals, and my mother, and just learning and just loving, like fell in love with cooking at a really young age. And it's definitely one of my love languages. I love to show love when I cook, and that's just kind of my thing. So I grew up just loving cooking, and I knew at an early age that I wanted to either have a cafe or a restaurant. No specifics around it, just I wanted to be able to feed people and make people happy that way. So as I kind of grew up, always had that as the main focus. So all my schooling and everything, I kind of shaped around that from an early age. So when I went off to college, I did a hospitality degree. And then when I did a study abroad to Australia, I continued and did my bachelor's of business, and then after that went to culinary school. So that was kind of always the future that I had set for myself, and that's what I wanted to do. So did all that, completed all that, and I just kind of dove straight into working in kitchens in Melbourne. I got really lucky, and I got into some really great kitchens in the city, big hotel brands as well, and I got to learn under some really great chefs. And yeah, it was a really great opportunity for me to kind of mold what I wanted to do and learn exactly where I wanted to position myself in the industry. And as I was kind of learning, I was just discovering the lack of great food and great options for those that are intolerant, especially being a celiac or gluten free. But not only them, but low FODMAP and dairy free and all the secondary or, secondary to celiac disease intolerances there can be. So I started to become a dietary specialist in the places that I was working. So I would focus on the dietary orders for large weddings or conferences, and that just kind of became my jam. I think I really enjoyed making great food for people who were used to getting catered for in these large events or catered for well. And
Mm.
that's how kind of this all grew um, into like a massive passion for me.
And being that you come from the Americas, I'm
Mhm.
also fascinated by the choice of going to Australia because typically, for food, you hear going to Europe, like that's the place to go. What
Yeah.
made you choose Australia?
It was, an opportunity that I got for a study abroad program with the school.
Okay.
So I went to, Vancouver Island University in Canada,
Oh, okay.
and, I was
Yep.
on a basketball scholarship there. And I, was really into my schooling because I knew that playing basketball after college was not an option for me due to injuries and just, I guess, the lifestyle. So I always wanted to still become a chef. So, after I did my few years there, I transferred to university in Melbourne, Australia. So then that's kind of the reason why, because I love traveling. I love, you know,
Yep.
learning new, like going and learning about new cultures and all that. So yeah, I landed in Melbourne and I did my started my schooling there. And yeah, just never left. I fell in love with the place. So yeah, it's a great city and it's really multicultural and it's a great food scene. So yeah.
One of the things I loved about meeting you, which I think you alluded to before in talking about your journey, is you taught me or gave me a new perspective, I should say. And don't just accept the status quo of gluten free. Like, just because it's better than what it used to be does not mean that you should accept that. Like,
Yeah.
feel free to have that collaboration with folks as you journey along of how can things always constantly get better. So is that what kind of fueled you from going into the catering spaces, other kitchens that you were working in where you just focused on that, into just going into your own space to be able to experiment in that way and how to continue elevating it? How
Yeah,
did
that's yeah, absolutely. I feel like, the more I worked for other people, the more I kinda was put into a bit of a box, and, like, I was allowed to be experimental, but to a certain point, and,
Mhm.
there was just this attitude of, like, "That's good enough." Like, "You don't have to go overboard," and I'm like, "But it's not going overboard, it's just doing what you're doing for someone else, but in a different way. Like, just because you don't think it's necessary doesn't mean like it's not. So, we'd
Right.
have these big weddings or conferences. People were paying $140 a head to be there and to get the food. But so were the people with the dietary needs. And they were getting food that was not up to scratch, in my opinion. So it was about like making sure that if you're paying this money, you're gonna get a great experience. So that's where I was right before COVID happened, and all the weddings and obviously the conferences stopped, and
Mm.
my position got made redundant. So at that time, I was already doing my own meal delivery service on the side of working full time and I had a good amount of clients that I had already kind of gotten into a regular weekly kind of cycle with. And so I just kind of started expanding that. Like I had no job. So I just started creating like the meal business and making it bigger and bigger and bigger. And that just kind of grew and it blew up into what Davy Street became, which was like a hub for 100% like celiac safe food in a community um, that was locked down. So we would do weekly meals specials and we would have coffee and muffins. And it was just like a place where community came together.
Mm.
A lot of people didn't know it was even gluten free. And so from there, it just grew at a massive rate.
And but the meal prepping and making sure that people had weekly meals, I have
Yeah.
to tell, I'm so jealous and annoyed that that hasn't happened in the States, because that's the one thing I would really love is
Yeah.
having like weekly meals like everybody else gets to have. I mean, there's
Yeah.
some versions of it, but they're like, I'm over it. It's the same 4 things over and over
Mhm.
again, and
Yeah.
just even I encourage people to look at your website because it's so beautiful, the things that you put together.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah, like
gorgeous.
I get a bit bored myself and I love a challenge. So I'm changing things every week. No one wants to eat the
Yeah.
same stuff all the time. And I know that because I don't want to do that. So having theme weeks or having specials, comfort food's a massive thing for me because that feels like love and it feels like home. And that's
Mm,
something that a lot of celiacs don't get to experience unless they cook it themselves, which is also a lot of work, which I can completely understand. So um
yeah.
yeah, it's been really fun to be able to kind of change things up all the time and buy and have like what requests from customers to, oh, can you make this again? And it makes my job a lot
Mm.
easier, and people love it that way. So that's been really fun.
What was the first dish that you did gluten free where you're like, I've got it? This doesn't even taste like good for gluten free. It just tastes good. And
This
it
tastes
just so
good.
happens to be gluten free.
Well, yeah, like in the early days when we like made the muffins were like such a hit and something we were well known for early on, because there's no gluten-free taste to it at all. People would not know the
Yeah.
difference, and it just became such a staple at the cafe. And like these days, our donuts are incredible, and you wouldn't even realize. So like that's the cool thing, is making something that I guess someone wouldn't assume could be good gluten-free, and just like, you know, just surpassing people's expectations, which is always fun.
I think that's the beauty of you not having celiac and being dedicated to this, that you're able to taste quote unquote normal food
Mhm.
and see the comparison. Whereas, I don't know,
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of chefs that also just so happen to be celiac are not
Yeah.
able to, because I don't remember what. I think that's also why a lot of celiacs are like, oh, it's just good at like, this is good for gluten free, because
Yeah.
I don't remember what regular things taste
Yeah.
like. It's been so long. So
Yeah, that happened a few
it's,
times on a
yeah.
cruise ship, I remember. We would be eating, and then I was like, "Oh, that tastes, different than I would think it would." And you're like, "Oh, that's interesting because this tastes like normal to me." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah,
well,"
yeah.
like, coming in with, like, a different outlook of what the dish should be tasting like it's an interesting kind of way to see how everyone experiences things.
I also really appreciate because you gave me a new perspective on that too. Because normally, if there was a chef that did not have celiac and was catering to people with celiac, it would give me like an eye roll of like, okay, well, how much do you really care or no? Or are you
Yeah,
just profiting? But you actually care and are like a fierce advocate for the community in
yeah.
such a way that I have such admiration and respect for you, and that like I've carried the lessons of what you taught me all this time, all these weeks later.
Well,
Still, even, we don't talk every day or on a weekly basis, but when you're always in the back of my mind of, no, there are people out there that care and are fighting the good fight to make sure that our quality of life is good. So thank you.
yeah. Yeah, that's really nice of you to say, thanks. Like, I take it really seriously, and I found, like, I felt very alone in that kind of quest early on, but,
Mm.
in Melbourne itself, there's a lot of business owners that aren't celiac that have gluten-free businesses. You'd be quite surprised, and we
Oh,
like to hang out and talk about, like, what they're doing different, or, like, how we
yeah.
can make this better, because, yeah, we do have a different outlook on how good food can be, right? And so we're always
Yeah.
pushing ourselves to make things better. But at the core of it, like, we love what we do, and we're extremely passionate about what we do. And we just want to make sure that everyone's having the best experience possible with a, a disease that they can't help. So it's
Yeah.
really like we want to make people as comfortable as possible going through something that no one should have to. So that's the thing. Like, you wanna have an even playing field when you're going out, or when you're going to an event, or you want to have get some catering because you've got a 21st or something, and you want to feel included, and you want to have a great time. So that's kind
Yeah.
of, and it's great to be surrounded by people, and I'm really lucky to have a great circle of people around me that feel the same way. So it makes coming
Yeah.
up with dishes or having events or collaborations with people that have the same mindset is really important.
What would you say? I was going to ask this a little later, but this is a good opportunity to ask you now. Because
Mhm.
I wonder if that's a cultural difference or just so happens that you guys are just really cool people and you happen to be in one area of the world, or maybe it's happening and I don't know in other places.
Yeah.
But I feel like whenever I go to a restaurant,
Mm.
there's always that feeling of feeling like a burden, right? When you're
Yeah.
talking and asking for things to be modified to be gluten free. what would your advice be? Because you are at the front lines of being an advocate for this
Yeah.
community in such a particular way. What's your advice to chefs that are listening, if they are,
Yeah.
um, of a better way of looking at it, of how it could help their business to be able to cater in such a way and that you can
Yeah.
elevate it and still be challenged by it in a positive way?
I feel like we got into this industry and we became chefs because of one reason, because we want to make people happy. Guaranteed, no one came into this for, I don't know, let's say the money or anything else. Like, it is hard work, right? So
Yeah.
you do it for because you're passionate about it. But why does that passion stop at one particular type of person, right? It shouldn't.
Yeah.
You should be able, like a great chef should be able to cook for anyone and everyone. That's just how it
Yeah.
should be. But I feel like there has been a bit of a toxic kind of mindset in the kitchens for a long time. Um, but about, I guess, dietaries being annoying and an inconvenience, and instead of looking at it like as a challenge, like this is great, like I want to try this out, or I like
Yeah.
this is like pushing my limits of what I know, and like taking that and like running with it. So there has been that type of toxic kind of ideology in the industry, but that's slightly it's changing these days. Like, it's becoming more
Mm.
prominent that people have dietary issues. It's more prominent that you people still want to go out. It's such a social, like in Melbourne, it's a very social kind of atmosphere there. So like people want to go out, they want to eat, they want to feel community. So I feel like it is getting better. Um, in Melbourne itself. I'm not sure everywhere else, but what I see on a daily basis, it is getting better. But I feel like if you are a great chef, you need to be able to do this because you need to be able to
Yeah.
cook for everyone. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, we'll see how it goes in the next 5-10 years. But it's already gone since I became a chef to now. It's gotten a lot better. When I first started going through culinary school, the only dietaries we did was a vegetarian. That's it. So there's no schooling. I guess that's the other point. There is no schooling around dietaries when you go
Mm.
through your culinary program. There's no intensive course on how to cook gluten free or anything, which is extremely lacking, and that's why I'm so passionate about education. So it's yeah, hopefully it gets better, but I mean, chefs out there, like, it will change your business. You'll be able to
Yeah.
cater the people that make those bookings or try to find a restaurant to go out and eat are the ones usually that have the dietaries and are trying to find the best place that they can go to take their family members and have a great experience out, and that is money at the end of the day, and that's what you need to run your business. So yeah, I would say I'll take it on board and try, because there's a lot of businesses now that are, and you can see the difference in what they're doing.
Yeah, it's that's really incredible. You just triggered a memory that I wish I could go tell freshman year Ashley in college, because I went to one semester at a different school that I ended up graduating from. And part of the reason I left the school was I lost 15 pounds in a semester
Yeah.
because they would not like give me my gluten free food. I would have to wait 3 hours to get like a little thing of
Oh
mac and cheese.
god.
Um, and I wish I could tell that Ashley that like you're gonna have this conversation and you're gonna meet this woman named Audrey and she's gonna try and change things and make things better. And it's
Yeah.
funny because the one thing they catered to was vegetarians. And I wrote them this whole essay of how like for the most part that's a choice. Like the celiac is not a choice.
Exactly right.
Um,
Exactly.
but what would, if you ran the world and it would be a much better place if you did, uh, what would you suggest that should be happening in these culinary education problems? And are you trying to get involved in that space so that you could get it from the ground up?
Yeah, definitely trying. There's like workshops and things that are happening that are separate to any type of school system at the moment, but learning about how to get into the school systems is something that I'm actively doing, and trying to figure out if I can either go in as a guest chef and just do a course or something to teach the up and coming chefs, what's going on in the real kitchens and in the real world. because it is very different from the schooling culinary life for sure. Um, but just trying to, with my business and what I'm doing, just showcase what great food can be, show the education behind it. You know, going on the Celiac Cruise was a lot of fun, but it was also really educational for me, is to open my
Mm,
eyes to see what's going on in a large like a large ship that feeds thousands of people. How do they do it? And that was really fascinating to see all that happen. And it was really encouraging to see all that happen too. So I feel like starting at the lower level of chefs that are in like coming in to culinary school is really important to get them early. And so there's a lot of work that I will be and want to be doing in the future with kind of teaching kids um, how easy it can be actually to
mm,
cater for other people. So definitely excited about that.
yeah. So we obviously met on the Celiac Cruise, and again, you were very like it was very educational in multitude of ways, and I find it interesting that you said it was educational, and it brings me to I'm curious about the experience you have with travel and the culinary aspect of it because it's kind of like with me and my film degree watching a movie, I feel like would be the only way maybe I could understand it.
Yeah.
So what is your relationship to travel and food? Can you just turn your brain off and enjoy, or especially with the gluten-free space, how do you manage all of that? So
Yeah.
many questions within that, but I'm gonna start there and let you
Yeah.
answer.
That's a great point. Like, I try to I depending on I guess the Celiac Cruise I was going in 2 different modes, like holiday mode, but also work mode, because I was networking with a lot of you guys, and I was trying to really gain some education for myself. But if I just go traveling, I do try to turn off my chef brain so I can enjoy myself. Because the other side of being a chef is you love being cooked for, because you don't wanna be, like, doing all the cooking all the time, so you're grateful and
Yeah.
you're thankful for the fact that you're
Yeah.
not the one having to cook, so there's that.
Yeah.
But there is also an aspect of the gluten-free side of me probably comes out more than, like, the critical side of me, because 'cause I'll look at it
Mm,
and I'm like, "Oh, well, that's actually relatively easy to turn gluten-free," or, like,
mm.
that I can kinda bank that in my memory to be like, "I wanna try that and see if I can make it gluten-free at the kitchen," another time. So, I feel like I am less critical about normal cooking. Like, if I were to go out to eat, I'm not super critical. But if I'm going out with the purpose of, like, learning or educating myself on something, I can get quite critical about people's, especially, like, gluten-free options. Like, I
Mm,
have a lot of gluten-free friends, and we go out to eat, and they choose a restaurant, of course, because they need to be
mhm.
catered for. So, we go out and like, we'll have discussions about what's coming out and what they're eating and how it could be better or if it's amazing. Like, I love to talk to the owners and talk to the chef and be like, "You guys are doing so good. This is fantastic food." Like, so,
Oh, yeah.
traveling's always super fun because it really expands my knowledge base of gluten-free food and what it can be. But then the other side is I just love being, like, fed and catered for, and I don't really put up too much of a fuss if I'm just by myself going out to eat. So I love food just in general. I think it's such a great experience, and I know how lucky I am to be able to go anywhere and get
Mm.
fed. So, like, I'm very aware of that fact, and so when I do go out, I like to make notes for myself to be able to make something, for my gluten-free community when I get back. So, pretty
I
cool.
love that. Um, w I so with as you said a lot that there are, like, very simple things that people can do to elevate or enhance, what have you, their gluten-free meal.
Mhm.
So, as a girl that, like, looks at cooking as a math equation rather than an art form, and that was also the beautiful thing to get to learn from you is that it is an art form. I've
Absolutely.
always I've always kinda known that, but you getting to meet you and Mel and
Yeah,
everybody, like, oh, I got to have a different appreciation. So
yeah.
what are just some simple things that someone like me can do to help elevate our gluten-free cooking when we have our what I call my muggle friends coming over to visit so that they can't tell?
That's funny. I think the thing about gluten-free cooking is I guess the fact that a lot of people think it has to be like pasta based or bread based, but there's such great gluten free cooking that just is natural, right? So it's just
Mm,
making sure that, you're using spices really well and quite a lot of it just to make sure that your food is flavorful. And then you can pair it with your pasta and then your gluten free pasta and you can, like separate it out. But I guess at the core of it is like just really good flavor and then just building on that. So,
yeah.
I do a lot of no onion and no garlic for our low FODMAP customers. And it's taken, a lot of work to figure out, okay, well, how can I make this just as or better, in
Mm,
flavor compared to the
yep.
normal, quote unquote, normal food of onion and garlic. So it's all about like layering your flavors and making sure that, you're putting a lot of time and effort into making something simple really great. And I think that's what gluten-free cooking basically is using the same concept of cooking like a normal dish and then just then changing a few things to make it gluten free. So, yeah, you got to change the type of flours and the type of pastas and the type of bread, but at the end of the day, they're pretty simple switches to do.
Yeah. I expect a lot of more WhatsApp messages because I'm going back to cooking more now that I'm home for a while.
Yes,
So I'll
why?
be like, tell me what to
Don't,
do.
yes, absolutely. You got to show me all your amazing dishes you're creating.
I'm gonna try and do chicken parm this week because I have
Um,
my partner coming to visit me. So you'll have to tell me how to make it better.
Absolutely. A great breading for chicken parm is cornflakes, gluten-free cornflakes, and I find they're fantastic. So that's a
Oh.
little tip for you.
Okay, I'll have to go hunting for the gluten-free
Yeah,
cornflakes because I don't know if
absolutely.
they're as bountiful over here as
Oh,
they
there
are
might not
in
be, yeah.
Australia. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'll keep you posted. I'll show
Yes,
you what I have,
please.
and then
I
you
would
can
like
tell me
yeah,
what to
I'd like
do.
to see your dishes for sure.
Yeah, I'll try really hard. Oh gosh, now there's so much pressure.
Never. Never.
But I'm more excited to make it because it's been a while since I've actually cooked a meal. Um, so I want to shift back to the gluten-free chef and your
Yeah,
location. So your location is closing down.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So our
so
Davy Street, so like in the same location, we run the two businesses.
okay.
So the cafe portion of it that we've had open for nearly 6 years, we're closing that down and shifting everything online so we can focus more on our expanding like ready-made meal business.
Mm,
We're such a small team that doing both it's just really tough to do both at the same time. So
mm.
we've done it like as much as we can now, and I've made the decision of just focusing on the one brand now. So it's really exciting shift. So
Is it okay to ask what part, like what got you to make that decision of to focus on that? It just brings you just more fulfilling, and there's other gluten-free places to go to for folks.
yeah, the Melbourne's really great at having gluten-free cafes, and we were one of during COVID we opened Davy Street, and it was such a necessity then. But I feel like as more and more pop up, the need for the convenience factor in the meals of meal
Mm,
delivery has outweighed the need for a cafe, a quick bite,
right.
more like I need my weekly meals delivered to me because I need to go to work and do this. So I feel like as well, it, the economy is shifting. People don't have that disposable income to go out and drop as much money as I guess they used to. So making the financial decision of the meals business is doing a lot more for us now. Let's make the shift now while we can
Mm,
instead of by the time we need to. So it's also shifting that over
yeah.
and saying goodbye to a chapter that was amazing and it was so much
Yeah.
fun. But like it's an end of an era and it's on to bigger things now. So
Yeah.
it's we can reach more people with the meal delivery. We can um, the hours are a lot nicer. Going nonstop for 6 years doing two massive things at the same time, like definitely hit burnout. So the decision came
Mm,
before and during the cruise, actually, when I had time to like start to decompress a little bit and saying it's just too much. So let's I just want to focus on one thing and do it really well now. So that's kind of why the shift is happening, and I'd rather go out with a bang. And we're doing that with this weekend's the last weekend, and we've got a massive Friday night lined up with great collaborators, and then Saturday is like saying goodbye to Davy Street and closing that chapter off. So I'm really excited about that.
Congratulations. I'm so excited for you. And
Thank
I have
you.
been noticing the collaborations that you're doing on Instagram
Yes,
and following. Do you want to talk about them a little bit more? Are there beyond
sure.
this weekend any potential collaborations continuing with
Yes.
those folks?
Well, the good thing about Davy Street, because it is a space in the cafe for that's like built for pop-ups, which is fantastic. So that'll continue. Like every month, we want to make sure that we're promoting other gluten-free businesses and reaching out
Mhm.
to the community and having them come in and have an amazing night. So we have a collaborator, Butter Mafia. He's a great guy. He is a pastry chef, not celiac either. Makes amazing pastries for the Melbourne base of customers, and he's really well known. So we've collabed a few times before, and so he's coming back on Friday. We're going to do a big send off for Davy Street. So I'm really excited about that. And then another great collaborator we have now is Mel Person. So she's a very hungry celiac. Um, she was also on the cruise with us. We had a great time. Um, many margaritas. It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
um, and she just moved from the UK back to Melbourne and needed a kitchen space. So we've been working together quite closely, and she's doing a recipe development for her upcoming books. And yeah, has been there on Saturdays doing a bit of a Saturday special for us. With treats from her books that she already has out, and doing some book signings and meet and greets, and it's been a lot of fun. So she'll be there on the Friday night as well, and then continuously after that, we've collaborated on the ready-made meals menu. So she has her own section in the menu where she highlights some sweets and her flour blends and all those amazing products that she does. So it's really exciting. And then we do have a few other collaborators coming up in the near future. That we haven't pinned down yet, but we're in the conversation state of getting something going, which is really exciting.
Oh, so exciting. Uh love all of this. So selfishly, because I it's gonna be a while till I can get back to you guys. And I've
Yes.
never been to Melbourne, and I feel like I'm half American now when I say Melbourne, and saying it the way you guys say it. I'm like Melbourne. Um
Melbourne, yeah.
I still say Nar and Gales. So
Um,
it's so never will change, never gonna go away. But um selfishly, because it's gonna be a while, are there hopes and dreams of expanding this so that us poor celiacs in the States can get to have a taste, or will we have to scrape our pennies and make sure that we head over to you
well,
guys for a
maybe for
long
the time
time?
being, you got to get that savings going for now. But who knows what happens in the future? Like, um, that's got some product ranges coming out, so anything's possible at this point, I think. So
All
that's
right, let me know who I've got to talk to.
will do. Okay, we'll make it happen for sure.
Desperate please, what sad story do I need to tell about my life to make sure that you get whatever money and funding you need to make it happen?
Exactly. Exactly. We'll work something out.
Yeah, I can cry on demand. I'm a theater kid. Like, we can
Me
make it
too.
happen.
Me
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
We can do it.
We're just all in a business meeting sobbing.
All of us.
Yeah. I don't eat. Help me, please, sir. Have some more.
Oh, it's too good. All right, we'll see what we can
Yeah.
make happen for sure.
Yeah. Well, you know, love everything about this. Is there anything that we haven't covered? I feel like we've gotten to talk about so much in such a short amount of time, but
Yeah.
I
I
also
don't
want to be respectful of your time.
know. That's all good. I'm just really excited about, I guess, the Gluten Free Chef brand, and like the the education, and I guess the collaborations and everything else that's going to be happening in the future, and I guess closing down one part of the business and being able to really like focus on another is really exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing like what's going to happen in the next year with with being able to reach more people with, safe, good food. That's kind of my mission. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm really excited, and hopefully another Celiac Cruise on the horizon, and we can
Yes.
catch up again and have another great time. And yeah, so we'll see what happens in the future, but I'm really excited.
Hopefully me not having no more how do I get myself home 10 days earlier. Yeah.
Dramatic finish, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you know what? That's the thing I love about celiac cruises is like it's less about the food and it's about the community and getting to just hang out and laugh really hard. Like with you guys, it was the hardest I've laughed in I can't even tell you how long. So even when times were tough, it was still perfect.
It was
So,
so much fun. Yeah. And like
uh,
that's the coolest thing to see as a non-celiac is seeing the community being built, but like how much happiness you guys have just being able to eat and not worry and share food and try new things. Like that was so cool. And so
yeah.
I like that just gives me more passion and gives me like a fire to like keep going because like that's what I want to see all the time. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
And yeah. And again, thank you for all that you do. And thank you for how much you have taught me and keep teaching me. And I can't wait to bother you for the rest of our lives on how I can be a better.
Oh, it's gonna be so much fun.
I
Yeah,
can't wait to see you guys.
yeah, same, same. Hopefully
Yeah.
sooner than later we'll work something out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna make some magic happen somehow. Let
Yes,
me know.
absolutely. All right, sounds good.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Audrey. I really appreciate you.
Welcome, and we'll talk soon.
Yes.
Bye. Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think so. Like I don't even think like I didn't even look at the
Thank you for joining me this week for an episode of the Gluten Free Advocate. For more information on what's discussed on the podcast, check out the episode description and or my Substack, The Gluten Free Advocate. If you have any questions or fun stories to share, feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Till next time. This episode is produced by Leigh Francis Productions.